What is default routing or default route? It is a type of routing in which we send all IP requests to a single destination, which is fixed default gateway. For example, in our home Wi-Fi routers, we send all IP packets to our default gateway, to our ISP, because we don't have any other destination. We have to pass by through our ISP, our internet service provider company. So some important characteristics of default routing are mentioned in here, and I have also created a default routing lab for you guys in which you can follow step by step like all my previous labs. So here you have been given a task to configure static routing on these three routers, router 1, router 2, router 3, and we have these destination and internet as well. So you will follow the task, you will open this lab and its topology in Cisco Packet Tracer. You will click on the router as usual, you will configure the routers and you will have practice, right? If you have any questions, you guys can ask me, and also the link to the file will also be given in the description. You guys can download this free lab. Okay, so some important points about default routing. The admin distance of default static routes or routing is always 255, which is the maximum possible because total is from 0 to 255. So we keep it 255 to give it lowest possible priority because this is default gateway or gateway of last resort. The default routes, they are represented by 000 for IPv4 and :/0 in IPv6 in most of the routers, most of the vendors. It changes a little bit in some of the vendors like in Huawei routers, in Nokia routers. The default routes, they handle traffic for unknown destinations and all requests are sent to a single fixed default gateway. An example I gave you already is our home Wi-Fi router or modem, you can say. The default routes are not fault tolerant, same like static routes. If the default gateway is down, we don't have any other way. We have to repair or replace that. We have to rectify the fault. Since we have one single destination, we don't have to make decisions like dynamic routing or like static normal routing. So it does not take much resources and much bandwidth. That's why default routing is used in our home Wi-Fi router, because we are sending all the traffic to one fixed destination. So it doesn't take much resources, much bandwidth, and the device does not need to be very expensive. That's why usually our home routers are within $100. Default routing is useful when we are dealing with a network with single exit point. So we cannot use it where we need mesh routing. And then some advantages and disadvantages related to default routing like we discussed. It is of course less resource intensive. There is no overhead in terms of CPU or memory of the router. We don't need a very hi-fi router. We just need a normal basic router. It is less resource intensive. It has a small routing table, of course, because, so let me ask you a question. How many routes will be there in our home Wi-Fi router? Can somebody tell me? Please write in the comment section. I will answer in the end. They allow connectivity to remote networks, and default routing is useful when a bulk of destination networks have to be routed to a single next hop device or a single default gateway. And no advanced knowledge is needed. Of course, we need to just do the configuration IP space route. For example, if it's a Cisco router, we will just write in the command line IP space route 000 and then 000. That's all. Same like what I have asked you to configure in this lab. So it's very important for the understanding. When you will do with your own hands, then your understanding will improve. Of course, every routing protocol, every routing mechanism has its disadvantages as well. So the disadvantages related with default routing is it is not fault tolerant. If your home Wi-Fi router is down, everything is down. And it is impractical for large networks where we have mesh networking, and there is no load balancing, of course, which is possible. So this is called default routing, where we send all the routes, all the packets to one single fixed default gateway. I hope it has improved your understanding. If you have any questions, any comments, please write in the comment section below.